They came from countries far and wide to build a snowy scheme. They left behind the scars of war to build Australia's dream. A melting pot of cultures, all working side by side. They toiled through harsh conditions, they did it all with pride.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we won. Now all we have to do in the future is, as they said, keep the bastards honest.
My name's Max Talbot. I spent 24 years working with the Snowy Mountain Scheme from 1979 until when I retired in 2003.
Well, Max, we're here at the park in the centre of Cooma. The Snowy is not being sold off. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I feel great about that, euphoric I suppose is the word, because I don't believe that decision should ever have been taken without at least government saying in their last run up to the previous election that was their intention. Then people could have at least known what was happening and expressed themselves through the ballot box. Or if they made the decision after that, then they should have at least gone to the people and said, this is what we're doing. We want to get some views. We're, instead of just almost in the dead of night, late December, when everybody's in holiday mood, just say we're going to sell it, just like that.
Feet of engineering, the dream to end all dreams.
My name is Frank Rodwell. I started on the Snowy Scheme in January of 1955. I worked at a number of different projects. Originally, I was working on the aqueducts with a pick and a shovel. Went on from that to road making, moving the heavy earth moving equipment and operating a grader. But for most of my time with the Snowy Authority, I was a special Commonwealth police officer. They had their own internal police force, and we were there to protect the assets and to oversee the smooth running of the scheme, if you could.
How many years did you work for the Snowy Scheme, Frank?
I worked there for just on 36 years. I was there for a long time, and I saw the whole operation grow and saw it right through to completion, and then through the operating periods too, up until I retired.
How important is it to you, Frank, to see that the Snowy sell-off has been called off?
Well, when it was first mooted, when I first heard about it, I just didn't believe it. I didn't think that any government would be so stupid as to sell something that was producing power and bringing in such a profit and doing it so effectively and efficiently. I just didn't believe it. But when they went ahead, it just goes to show that corporate business driving the politicians with just straight out corporate greed to get their hands on the money is almost incomprehensible. And so we had to take a stand, otherwise we would have finished up, they would have sold Australia, it would have all gone.
Water, let it flow. Water, let it go. How can politicians promise that all will be okay? For assurances get broken and the people always pay. Water is so precious.
If I was to say to you, perhaps there's just too much emotion involved with the Snowy and it's clouding the reality that perhaps a sell-off might bring more capital and might brighten the Snowy's future. How do you react to that sort of comment?
There is a lot of emotion and there's a lot of emotional attachment, particularly from the people that were around when it was built. I'm not so emotionally attached because I came to the scheme after it was built, 79, and was part of the ongoing operation and maintenance. My main concern was that we were getting a lot of spin from governments, a lot of half-truths, and I suppose if you want to be brutal about it, a lot of lies as to why this sell-off was necessary. And it was sort of revolved around Snowy need all this cash to survive in the market, to grow and to maintain the scheme. And there was very little being said about the Snowy's rights to the water. Now, we kept hearing from governments, particularly the New South Wales government, that Snowy don't own the water and that the government still control and own it. But which is patently false. New South Wales, yes, the state still owns the water, but Snowy control it through a 75-year water licence. And that licence was put together to corporatise the scheme, not to privatise it. At the time, governments, when people expressed concern about it being corporatised in 2002, oh well, you don't need to worry about that because we're just corporatising it. We're never likely to privatise it, you know. So, to my mind, the licence didn't provide the necessary protection for the irrigators downstream, for the environment, or for future generations who might want to use the water for something else.
The politicians, the big parties, tried to snow the people. Instead of that, the people snowied the parliaments. But not only has Snowy Hydro stayed in public hands, but this huge wrong-headed idea that water everywhere, in the cities, in the bush, should be privatised, you have set that back by decades, if not forever, in this country.
Did you work with a lot of people from different countries?
Oh golly, yes. You know, it was a League of Nations here. The people that we had been fighting against not all that long before in the Second World War, and yet out here working shoulder to shoulder with them, they were the same as us. They were good people. And we still have here in Cooma one of the top Luftwaffe pilots, and he was a beaut bloke, and it only highlights the utter stupidity and futility and waste of war.
So where were you when you heard the news on Friday, and how did you react? Okay,
the young presenter from Win TV rang me, who I'd done an interview with the day before, and said, have you heard it, that Howard's just said the sail is off from the Commonwealth's point of view. And then a little while later said that the New South Wales government had followed suit. Now, I didn't think that for a minute that they would follow so quickly. It all happened within half an hour, I think.
And what did you do?
What did we do? Oh, well, we stopped doing what we were doing, like writing letters, and had a bit of a whoop and whoop.
Does it make you proud when you drive around the mountains and see the efforts of yourself and your other workmates?
Oh golly, yes. Even though I retired 15 years ago, I still go out as a tour guide. I go out on the coaches to show people, because a lot of people don't understand now just how difficult it was to achieve what we have. And regrettably, a lot of the school children, they have been influenced so much by the green questions and so on, that they don't see the overall picture. And when you think that the Snowy scheme was built inside a national park, and from the air you can only see about 2% of it, and that just goes to show how carefully it was put together and how well it was done.
Don't sell our Snowy Hydro. The people rise and say, don't sell our Snowy Hydro. The people rise